let's get into the pure facts of how the Bible was really written with Billy Carson, man. It's a really good and informative video, man. Let's get into this.
I remember I was on the beach. Again, the same beach. I was sitting at the edge of the ocean. I had just got done doing my walk. Sometimes I sit at the edge of the ocean and do myself a little meditation. I'm sitting there with my eyes closed and I'm just listening to the ocean, as that's my music, right? A guy and a woman walk over. I don't see them walk over because they walk up from behind me, but all of a sudden I hear the sand shifting by my body. I open my eye, turn to my left. There's a guy standing there. Right away, when he handed me a bottle of water, I said, oh, here comes another one. He was trying to convert me into Christianity, right? He hands me the bottle of water. I said, you know what? This time I'm going to take this damn water. I'm going to have a conversation with these people. And the guy goes, have you taken Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior? I said, no. Why would I do that? He goes, what do you mean? I said, I am God. You're God? What are you talking about? I said, yeah, I'm God and God is me.
See, when you say things like that to people, it makes them, they almost faint. Like people who are so indoctrinated in the Bible, who don't know its true history, they almost faint. Because in the churches, they taught that that's blasphemous. It's crazy.
The same divine spark that created everything in the entire universe is the same divine spark that's inside of every atom inside of my body. And so by that method, I am God and God is me. And so are you. And so is this young lady as well. We're all the same. We're all part of that same one divine consciousness. That threw him off right away. Then because he's a program code, he couldn't even conceive of what I had just told him. He didn't even have an epiphany with that. He went right back into his pitch. And I said, okay, I'll listen to you if you can answer some questions. Can you answer some questions? And I said, when was the Bible written? And he goes, oh, it was written thousands of years ago. I said, oh, man. I said, no, the Bible wasn't written thousands of years ago. I said, do you even know who wrote the Bible? Oh, yeah, Paul, Peter, John. I said, oh, my God. Listen, man. I said, you happen to stumble into one of the world's foremost experts on biblical texts, the Torah, the ancient tablets in the world. That's who you're talking to right now. Do you understand that the Bible was not written by any of the disciples? He got flabbergasted. I'm like, dude, listen to me. The disciples, if you were to do your studies, they were actually illiterate men. They couldn't read or write. There was nobody standing there transcribing every sentence that they've spoken either.
Now, why is that necessary to know? Excuse me. Because when you look at the Bible, you see the books of John, Matthew, you see these disciples, right? And throughout history, you've been told that these are the ones who written the Bible. And because, you know, they told you that they were disciples and they were so close to Jesus, right? You accept it. But if that wasn't a fact, right, then it would lead you to have to go do more research, and then research will lead you further into the truth.
How did the Bible come along, even including the Old Testament? You've heard me say this before. They copied the majority of that stuff from the Enuma Elish, the Atrahasis, the Mahabharata. You have some of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, right? You have in there, you have, like, for example, the 42 Laws of Mayat. You know, that's where you get the 10 Commandments that were extracted from that information. You have the Bhagavad Gita, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. You have the Sumerian tablets that are outside of the Enuma Elish. There's many tablets that exist. The Code of Hammurabi, the Epic of Gilgamesh. I mean, that can just keep going and going and going. And I said, then you have the Emerald Tablets, where Jesus's teachings are identical copies of Thoth's teachings from the ancient Kemetic mystery schools taught 50,000 years ago in the land of Kem, which is now known as Egypt. And I could see the steam coming out of this guy's ears. He couldn't even conceive what the heck I was telling him. And I said, do you know that the Bible was written thousands of years after the people were long gone, dead, buried, bones disintegrated, and everything else in the ground? He said, no, what are you talking about? I said, listen to me, man. The Bible was written from 100 AD to 900 AD. And who wrote the Bible? Those were followers of Thoth. These people didn't write a Bible, by the way. What they did was they started discovering in different caves and different little makeshift buildings that existed a long time ago, these vases with scriptures and cylinder scrolls and papyruses and tablets. And they started collecting them. And they started transcribing that information onto paper, parchment paper, and so forth. And so that text, that information over time would be studied by the Gnostics. Even in more time, much later, you have then the Coptic Christians, and then you also have the councils that were formed. Like, for one, is the Council of Nicaea, who then started analyzing a lot of these copied and recopied and recopied and recopied and recopied text, and started analyzing which ones to keep and which ones to keep out. Which ones to keep, they were thinking, let's make this into an actual canonized book. We'll take this and put that in here. We'll take this one. No, that talks about aliens. We don't want the book of Enoch in here because he's talking about aliens. Let's leave that one out. We don't want the myth of Adapa in here because he's talking about aliens. We don't want that in here. That's the book of Adam. We don't want that in here. So you have all these apocrypha texts that were kept out, right? And the Council of Nicaea coordinate and create this hodgepodge of a book based on hand-picked content, curated content that they wanted that would allow them to still maintain control over the people, over the masses of people. And that's how you get to the canonized book today that the majority of religious people read around the world.
And so why is this important? Because the truth is the only thing that will ever set you free. Without the truth, you will always be a slave mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Okay? So he gave you names of books that is necessary for you to go read in order to seek that truth. Because in those books, you're going to get the whole story, not half of it, not a little piece of it, not a fragment of it. You're going to get the whole story. All right? And so with that being said, I just want to leave you as I came. I want you guys to always be aware, because to be aware is to be alive. And as always, peace, family. Peace meaning positive energy always creates elevation. Ashe.